Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. I'm your host, Kelly, Spirit Baby Medium and Medical Intuitive. Welcome to episode 128. This is, of course, it'll be December 24th, 2021. Merry Christmas Eve. Real stories and experiences with Spirit Baby communication, conversations of the heart. Are you ready to tune into real experiences and conversations? What next serves you on the path towards Spirit Baby connections? I have something very special here. If you're tuning into the podcast, you can't see that I'm doing a Zoom video. And I have volunteers and guests, and I want to, hopefully in 2022, really bring in conversations around Spirit Baby communication, whether in conception, pregnancy, or healing through birth loss to conception. And I have these amazing, beautiful guests. They are new to this connection, but they showed up. The emails are so synergistic, I feel, putting out the message out into the energy of the universe. Come, and we want to hear stories of people. Not just my stories. I get to sit and hear stories all the time every week. And so I have my guests here, Jessica and Jennifer. Say hello, ladies.
Hi.
And we were just kind of discussing before, and I like to get into like, how do we meet? Like, what does this look like? How did we connect? And Jessica, you were just sharing. Please share a little bit about what was happening.
Yeah, so I actually have done some work with a guest who had been on Spirit Baby Radio, Nancy Weiss. She does Reiki and connects to Spirit Baby energy as well. And so when she was on the podcast, I kind of got introduced to Kelly and to Spirit Baby Radio and Spirit Baby Medium. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been good.
Yeah, thank you for being here. We're gonna crack in a little deeper. And then Jennifer, please share. We know each other from past.
We've worked together, but I found you a couple years ago and started listening to your podcast and following you on Instagram. So that opened the doors to a lot of thinking that I was having and validation of things that I was having. And then we worked together. I think we worked together. Is it in January of this year, I believe? So
yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. Good to have you as well. And what I really want to do is, because I was saying it's a very casual conversation, but I want to hear, where you're kind of at, your specific stories. What does this Spirit Baby communication stuff mean to you? And we'll just kind of go from there, because I may have questions, I may have curiosities about intuition, about that psychic space. And as I always speak about, is that we're all in different connections and awarenesses with our bodies, with our babies, with our timeline. And I want, let's hear more. Anybody who wants to speak first, it's up to you.
Jessica?
Yeah. Wait, so what am I sharing again?
So my question, just, what is your Spirit Baby communication connection? I know you shared this really beautiful story with me, and I want, everybody that's tuning in, we want to hear your story. What brought you into that? What was your own felt body sense experience with you have an Earth child now, you said.
So my son is just over 2 years old, and really my whole spiritual journey and awakening and everything started with him. And I struggled with fertility issues conceiving him, but ultimately I actually did do one meditation. I remember that was calling in your spirit baby, when I was trying to get pregnant with him. But otherwise, I went very much, I went a very holistic route to get pregnant, did functional medicine, a bunch of different things like that, but really didn't tap into the spiritual side of it. And once he was born, I kind of started having this spiritual awakening. And in, I guess just over a year ago, we started trying again for a second. And in January of this year, I had an Akashic record reading where I asked specifically if there was a soul waiting to join us. And it came through that there was. And I just immediately felt this connection. I felt it right here.
I'm getting goosebumps.
yeah, like warm, loving, like right in my heart chakra. And I just had this like knowing like, yep, this is who I'm waiting for. And everything that's like come through has been like, it's a timing issue. There's nothing I need to do. There's nothing I need to nothing I need to be, just it's a timing issue and it will happen when it's meant to happen. And so really for this past year, it's been all about developing this connection, trusting the universe, trusting my spirit baby, trusting myself, and really, like diving into my own intuition and my own, I wouldn't say I'm like psychic per se, but like experimenting with that side and just like my spiritual side and approaching it from that point. So it's been really cool and amazing so far.
I love one of the things that you share that feels really potent for a lot of people that are tuning in is that part of the waiting or the patience or what is the timing, even your energy and the conviction of it. It's like nobody wants to have timing, right? It's like, I want it now, let's do this. But there's an easefulness when we're waiting for that timing. It doesn't mean, sometimes there is action, of course. And sometimes it's like, well, what if you're actually doing everything? Mm-hmm. What if you're actually doing it? And that is a really hard one for us human beings to really digest, because it's, it's going, okay, is it not enough? Because you want something and it's supposed to happen, right?
I'm a doer too. So this has been completely against my nature, but I actually think that's really a good thing. And because I like to be told there's nothing you can do. Because I was like, give me a fertility diet. Give me,
right? You can check the boxes, right?
Yeah. I was like, tell me and I'll do it. I'll do whatever. And it was like, nothing. No.
That's interesting, because like I'm kind of like opposite. So I don't have any children yet. I'm on this journey for 5.5 years. I'm going to speak all to the ladies over 40. It's a number. I got married at 40. I did all the things, the white coats that I should do the IVF, do the IUIs. Nothing's work. It didn't feel good in my body to do that, but I did it. And that was in 2016. So in 2019 is kind of when my spiritual journey started, like as far as a reawakening to trying to figure out what is happening. I was meditating daily. Okay. I had the opportunity to be able to do that. I wasn't working. So I didn't have children. So I was able to set aside time to go for daily walks, meditation. And that's when I started connecting and feeling things. I did visualizations where I saw, I think, my little girl, I feel a little boy. I feel multiples. And again, I think it's timing. And I know, like, my husband and I have gone through so many, like, oh my gosh, we're old. Like, it's in your head, So it's been a very interesting process, because not only has it been, I mean, it sucks, you guys, like this up and down roller coaster of like, this month it's going to happen and I feel so positive, and then it doesn't happen. And just like, I went through depression. Like, there are so many phases of this. And all I can say to the women that have been struggling is, if you feel that there's a soul with you, whether or not they're going to come earthside, like, keep going. It's hard. It's a tough path, but like, I feel at least one, I think our boy is going to come through for sure. I don't know about others, but I would just say you have to get in that space. I honestly think meditation's great. Meditation, and that can be walking. It doesn't have to be sitting in quiet, you know what I mean? And take 5 minutes for yourself. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes long, but just to connect with yourself does amazing things. And I can't even tell you how much I've been able to connect just by taking time for me and doing that for yourself. So everybody's path is different. That's all I can say. Do not compare yourself to other people. But if you feel in your heart that there is a baby waiting for you, just keep going.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I see there's definitely a lot of emotion. Absolutely. And I appreciate both of you sharing really where your energy is, where your view is. And yes, that Jessica has an earth child and opening to conception and pregnancy, and still the uncertainty and the not knowing. And then Jennifer, you feeling like on this journey that feels quite long, and all these different questions that come up along the way. And were you going to say something, Jessica?
Oh, I was just going to say that's so interesting, that you feel two energies and that you aren't sure if both of them are going to come, because I've just recently been feeling two as well, and I'm very confused about that, like, and because I don't know that it's really feasible for both of them to come. So
And I
that's
feel
so
like
interesting.
it's not even our decision to make. I feel like it's their decision to make, right? So
That's true.
I always feel like multiples come to those that are just open, ready for it. Not that, a lot of people freak out when they think of multiples, but I go, they're going to come, but they're going to come. Like there's nothing you could do, as Jennifer says, that there's this other soul, which I've talked about for years. There's such a level of mystery in the journey that we can't fully really even understand. Even science doesn't even understand, like, where do people come from? Like, we know, yes, the egg and the sperm, but like, what is this soul part? Like, it doesn't really know how to be articulated, I would say. But of course, it's through feeling, sensing, and energy. And of course, intuition, as Jessica, you were saying, it was so affirming. You're like, intuition is like, that's your job, that's your doing, right? It's like, that's the job right now. That's what I'm going to do. And I know many that question their intuition, or they go back and forth, and of course that's okay, right? It's like, but that could be the doing or the journey, and that that's a part of course, the spirit connection, because we do want to feel sensing into our bodies and paying attention, and sometimes not knowing anything actually, and that's okay too, right? It's like, I remember when I stepped into opening to receive my second child, I was like, well, maybe you won't want to come. Like, I can't, maybe I don't want him actually. I don't know. There's a lot of feelings around it. And then we get so caught up in the thoughts, so caught up. It's like the overthinking, the over processing. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, right? You both are shaking your head. So it's like, how do you relate to that? I think that's everybody though. It's like, that
and second guessing what you're feeling or sensing, or, like I'm a feeler, like, and you second guess it and you're like, And then I've had readings with you, Kelly, too. And you validate it. And I'm like, okay, stop second guessing. If you feel something, acknowledge it, be grateful for it, say thank you, and more of that will come.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do agree, is that when we're set to a tone of energy, right? This is the language of energy I speak about often. When we're in that space of going, oh, I'm going to receive it, we can sit in the skeptical, I don't know, and the doubtful, person, and then, but that's going to be your reality then, right? It's like, but then you're like, oh, I'm opening up to trust, even though I don't know. And that it does build more connection of trust. It builds more awareness to go, oh, there's this whole other awareness and connection that gets to be held in trust, even when there's fear, right? It's like, even when it feels so unknown, even on a long journey, Jennifer, I know it's been a long journey, and I've seen this before with a lot of women that come to me. It's sometimes even longer than your journey. And something shifts and changes, as Jessica talks about what Jessica, when I feel like it's a timing thing, I feel like it's frequency. What is the frequency of that child wanting to come, not just into your reality, but into Earth? And that's a big one. We don't talk about that. If your doctors talked about that, there'd be more easefulness. Like, okay, all right, doc, all right, the frequency of your baby's coming, but they got to work through their levels and energy too. It's not just about
Exactly.
I just recently had almost that exact realization, where this whole time I've been like, it's a timing issue, thinking it's my timing issue. And I just recently had that realization that it could very well be my spirit baby's timing. Right. Like the timing's not right for, I'm going to say her, because that's who I feel is coming through, and who I felt, but I do feel there is a boy there as well.
It helps a little bit to realize, like, it's not me, because I went through the same thing, like, it's me, it's us, and then I finally, something inside me said, no, it's him, like, and now I've just got to let it go. It's so easy to say, just let it go, and so many people want to be helpful and like, just relax, and it's like, do you know how many times I want to like stab somebody with a pencil in their eye? Just relax. They mean well, but they don't understand, like when you're going through it. But yeah, Jessica, once I was like, it's him. And I'm going to say him because I know it's a boy. It's his time. So let's just wait and see what happens,
Yeah. And as times continue to shift and change, you do, this is why it's nice to do your own self-love care work,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be, oh, my uterus is not good enough, I have to just clean it out, it's not perfect enough. Oh my goodness, how many times do I hear that? We're so fixated on the womb and the tissues and the cells. Yeah, that's important, but when the energy is aligned and the nervous system is aligned and the frequency, if the baby's ready, they're going to like join that space. And you're going to listen. It's like, this is the piece I always say, we come back to embodiment. We have to listen to our bodies. We get to listen and connect with baby, but it's like we have to come back to that intuitive body essence. We don't have to know everything that's happening inside us, right? I always say conception begins in the heart space, and then everything else kind of moves together. I've seen one ovary. I've seen multiple women with one ovary, no tubes, barely a working uterus, barely at times. And then they're like, oh my gosh, like, how did this happen, Kelly? Like, how did I get here? I'm like, because it's more than that. And again, I do feel like we do get more insight around that as you elevate and grow into that journey, right? It's like, Jessica, moving into motherhood, it transformed you. It brought this other part of you, rebirthed you.
Yeah.
And then you get to see it. And then Jennifer, the awakening, it's like the continuous awakening and the light energy, because I do feel like these souls, they bring so much awareness to us, right? Whether it's positive or negative, because I went into darkness with my pregnancy, with my first. It was like, it just felt like I was spinning, like psychologically, emotionally out of control. But I was like, what is this energy spinning? What is it bringing to me? This wild spirit. He was a wild spirit, and he is like that in his earth body. And then I was like, okay. And after that, I was like, it was such an intense experience. I was like, I think I'm just gonna have one kid. I'm done. I'm okay. I'm okay. And then I did all this other work, because for me, I feel like my journey wasn't a conception struggle. It was pregnancy, and it was birth. It was birth. It was like, I literally felt like I cracked my second chakra open. I joked that my first son broke my second chakra, because he brought in so many different layers of depth from my own childhood, of being raised by a mother that was traumatized and wounded, and how I took on those wounds and actually didn't want to have children because of that. And then I said to myself, I can't hold back because of that experience. But I was terrified. I'm not going to lie. And you hear pieces of it weaved into my podcast throughout time.
Yeah.
And then he's here. And then, and it was a very dark night of my soul after I gave birth. And then I'm like, I have this baby. What am I going to do with him? And then I did a lot of healing. And then I was like, oh, there's another soul. And I was like, I don't know what happened the first time. It freaked me out. And then he came through, but it was such a different energy. It was a different experience, a different time. The work that was being asked of me really deeply in the sacral energies of many, many women brought me to whatever that next level is. And it was not something I would have thought about, not something I could have planned. It's just interesting to take a zoom back and look at the story and go, whoa, this is intense. And you meet them, right? It's like you meet them at every moment. Then to see, and I've had women like that I've worked with more consistently, or like working towards pregnancy, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm pregnant, but I don't believe it. And I'm like, that's fine. And then they're like, oh, maybe this is not miscarrying this time. Maybe this baby's staying. And they felt like their emotions were really off right before. And I'm like, I was like, baby's not like, oh, you're angry today, you're grieving today, we're not going to come. I was like, you're a human being with feeling and emotion. And I've actually seen a lot of women conceive not in very good spirits and not in a good space. So I'm saying that because I feel like it's not always about finding that positivity. Sometimes it just feels heavy and dark, and it's like, okay, and then what, right? It's like, you're showing up to life, showing up to your inner work, and making it about you more. So I want to hear, anybody have any, how do you connect with Spirit Baby? Is it dreaming? Is it feeling? What is it, through meditation? I know Jennifer talked about visualization. What is that experience for anybody that wants to share?
I mean, it's definitely meditation for me, and it's a feeling like, or then a knowing feeling. But it started, I like daily walks, and I started just talking to him, them, and just opened that channel, and I started to be more aware of the things around me in nature, and was more present and becoming more present. and kind of shutting out the noise. I mean, it was kind of easy. We were in COVID. I isolated myself, but that did help in a lot of ways because I didn't have to worry about other people and other things. I just took time for myself. So I was doing a lot of reading, a lot of books on spirit babies, a lot of listening to podcasts, Kelly. I immersed myself in that world to educate myself. And then I was meditations. I did visualizations to connect with your spirit baby. And I feel like all those things help me connect better. And I kind of get like when Jessica earlier, when I said I got goosebumps, I tend to get like goosebumps or like this. It's kind of like a wave of warmness on parts of my body, like it's happening right now when I'm meditating and I think of them. And so I know I'm connecting. And I was, like I said, I was second guessing and then was validated with readings I've had. So you have to take time for yourself to try to connect, even if when I started this, you don't think, oh, I'm going to connect with my spirit baby. You're just like, I'm going to meditate. I need to calm my mind and I just want to get centered and connect to my higher self. And then that process, day by day, creates a space for other things to happen.
Yeah, Jennifer, thank you for sharing that. I feel like you just gave texture to the experience of your connection and how that works for you and what it feels like. I really understood when you were talking about that warmth. And, to me, it's like the empath, right? It's like the feeler and the sensor. And you're making me reflect now going, yeah, what is my connection?
I work with crystals too. So
okay, yeah.
I've made bracelets for my spirit babies. Like there's different ways I've connected. I know one of my spirit babies has connected amethyst, which is one of my favorite stones. So a whole amethyst or, rose quartz or, different things, moonstone to connect. So things like that as well. Like just like it helps to have something tactile too to connect, for me at least.
For that. How about you, Jessica?
So I also feel sometimes, again, I always feel it right here in my heart chakra, just kind of like a warm, loving, like, just, I don't know, the nicest feeling ever, I can say. And then same as Jennifer, I've read all the books. I absolutely love like Walter McKitchen's Spirit Babies books.
Yeah,
I read it.
I recommend that. Kelly recommends that too.
Yeah. I use your oracle cards often.
Oh, nice.
I meditate, and I was feeling like I was getting like some like almost hearing answers to questions and things. And I don't know if I kind of shut that down because, I would say maybe like 8 to 9 months ago now, and maybe I was doing it wrong because I was asking the wrong question, but I just felt like things were lining up. I felt like I was pregnant. And in one of the meditations, I felt very connected. And I asked, like, are you coming now? And I swear I heard like clear as day, like, yes, mama. And so I was like, great, I'm pregnant. This is it. And I was not. So that was like a really big kind of like dig to that connection. And it's taken me a long time to sort of get back to where I feel connected. And I almost feel like that was me pulling back. And, I still don't understand. Like, again, it's hard to trust. It's hard to know. But I also feel like get like that knowing sensation of things just kind of come through. And I also write a lot, like journaling, and I write letters to my spirit baby. And then the other day I had like a really good meditation where I felt like I was connected to both of the spirit baby energies, and I was getting like specific things from both of them. And I don't know, like I want to trust it. I want to believe it. Like it was like the most communication I feel like I've had coming through. And I was right before this was just opened my journal and was looking at that. I was like, I don't even remember that. Like, but I wrote all these things down.
Wow.
Through. So, I mean, I have to trust and like, feel like I know that it is a connection and is like a communication, even if sometimes what I feel or hear or, what comes through maybe doesn't always end up being the reality or the truth right now.
Or I also wonder when you say that, because a lot of people have asked in the group, in the Facebook group, in the collective throughout the many years is, well, baby says now, and where are they? Like, what happens in that? And really, I feel like, spirit soul energy now is now. Now is not like the moment of where you're saying, oh, I'm here now, because the baby's like, I'm here. Baby could be here with people for a good year or two and still not be in physical manifestation form. And that really confuses people.
Yeah.
Because my second son was in my auric field for 2 years, but I wasn't ready. And maybe if I was ready, I don't know if he would have come or not. I have no idea because I wasn't trying. But then something changed and I was like, okay, Kelly, it's either now or never. You're in your 40s. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep waiting out of fear? Right. I was like, don't want to wait out of fear, because that was it. That straight up, it's pure fear for me. I was like, what are we going to do? Is it going to be different? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be whatever? The past really forms us. Right. And we go, oh my gosh, but this didn't, whatever. And so, looking at it from, the present perspective, it sounds like you're saying is like being really present and going back in your journal and going, oh, wait a minute. Wow, I said that. I felt that way. And we can lose that faith in intuition, but that has to be a moment. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now what? Let me come back. Where am I? But that's a learning. I do feel like there's a practice in that we have to do when we're just kind of evolving into that intuitive space. And so, of course, I want to encourage you to get back on it, and just, you got to scratch off whatever that icky thing in your thought space was. So what, you heard baby say I'm coming, and baby didn't show up in that month or even the next month. There's something there, baby's showing up, right? And it's like, again, I do feel like earth time is so different, right? Wouldn't you agree? Earth time is not the same as spirit time. Now, no excuses.
Yes. I know it's so interesting because this soul I feel so connected to. I actually didn't know anything about spirit babies before my son. I sometimes feel like I did a disservice because I didn't develop this relationship before he came here, or connect with his higher self or anything like that. But looking back now, I actually feel like this baby who's coming through has been with me my whole life. The visual I've seen this in my mind's eye as long as I can remember. Anytime I pictured having children, this is who I saw. And when they told me my first child was a boy, I was like, no, are you sure about that? Because I see this girl in my mind. And looking back now, I do feel like it was important he came first. But I almost have this impatience because I almost feel like this, I miss this soul. I know we've been together for lifetimes, and I just I love her so much. I just want her here with me. I feel like I'm waiting for my best friend, and it's hard to wait.
Yeah, but I love that you both shared about the heart space, that connection. There's something that happens with a baby being, whether it's a girl or boy or baby being. I kind of like to go all over the place, and really being able to receive that connection and hear it and know it without going, okay, what does this mean next? Let me get the paper out and write a list. Let me try to control it. It's like, oh, I'm receiving that connection. And I think we all meet spirit baby at different times. I didn't have conception spirit baby awarenesses, honestly, because I was terrified. I know that sounds strange. The spirit baby meaning outing herself more and more throughout the years. I was terrified because of my history. And am I allowed to I have stuff too. And so for me, it was more in pregnancy because I felt like I could do that more presently and without all this other stuff. And so I feel like it comes at different times for everybody, where some it's like this really deep spiritual parenting and a conception journey. And then moving into pregnancy and birth, it's like you even saying, it's like a remembrance, it's building that relationship and connection. And, most people do have long love, galactic past life connections with their children. And you do get to recognize that sometimes in the womb, sometimes when you're holding them, there's that soul recognition. And, there's so many different experiences to say around that. And every soul's different. You'll see that every child is different and what they bring in, which fascinates me. Because there are soul groups, right? There's different energies and things. And it's who's coming in now? I know a lot of babies being born right now in this month. And I'm like, oh, what's this little soul about? What are they thinking? Why are they coming? So anything else coming up for anybody you want to chit chat about? be coming up close to the end of this podcast. And so I feel like the key things we hear is like intuition, just kind of showing up and knowing that there's no perfection in communication. And it sounds like, Jessica and Jennifer, you have a lot of empathic sensing, heartfelt experiences in communication, and visual energy, maybe even that psychic visual space as well. And then, continuing to see where the trust wants to be built. I love that you have the cards, kind of writing and journaling. These are things that feel, empowering and important. I remember with my first born, I don't even know if it's in cyberspace somewhere. I started a blog on pregnancy. It was very cosmic. I was like, it's lost in cyberspace because I think it was called like intuitive. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know where it is. I don't know who's reading it. I have no clue. I think about it from time to time. I don't even, it was an old email. And I remember talking about things that were very multidimensional at that time. And I'm like, okay, whoever it is, whoever's reading it, kind of learning and expanding because we change, because he's going to be 11. That's like, next in a few months and it's next year. And I'm going, my gosh, that's 11. So that would be like 12 years ago when I was pregnant, right? And then in communication with him. Is it 12 years? Is that how that works? I don't know how that works because you're pregnant like almost a year, not a year before, but it feels like it. And so going, my gosh, like that whole reality and that connection. And so I love that journaling piece or that writing piece can be really healing. I would even say the second time, I don't know what I did. I don't think I journaled. I think I worked. So I worked with a lot of women. I didn't have time to journal all of a sudden or something, which does happen. You'll see that as, moving into second pregnancies, that the way the energies exchange is very different. I actually told my second son, I said to him, if you want to be born, you have to share me. You have to share me with other women that I'm here to be of service. And so I said, I was very real about that because I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a baby. And I really loved being a part of the Spirit Baby community. But I was like, can I do both? I was like, I don't know, because I get overwhelmed by energy. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And then I felt like he was in agreement with that. And he was such an easy baby, which was interesting. I'm like, it's like he knew. I'm not going to be dramatic. I'm not going to put up a fight because if you're going to, like I was, it was very clear about him. And, as a part of me, like, not that I didn't love him any less, but in this, I feel like this agreement means you're part of the healing of these people that I'm connecting with. And where my first was like, he needed all of me, needed all my energy.
What, just out of curiosity, when you have someone, since both of us kind of sense two separate souls, like, I mean, it kind of is hard for me to wrap my mind around if they're here as a spirit baby, that they potentially wouldn't come earthside. Do you have anything to say to that?
It's hard to know because spirit babies, some of them do become guardians or like, especially in death. Like when there's a lot of mixed confusions around what happens in a baby when they earthside and they're born and they die, or if they're later loss or early loss. Those babies, I do feel like stay with the auric field, stay in the consciousness of their mothers, and whatever that deeper journey, that lesson and that connection keeps going, even though it's not seen maybe, or maybe that baby is taking on a different body in a different timeline in the reality of that person. Mm-hmm. And so there's never any, I always say there's never any guarantee or promises, really. We just have to keep showing up, because even with my two earth children, I had doubts. I was like, well, maybe they don't want to come. And I had some really dark thoughts of loss. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what if they're like, we have to like give space for those feelings. And then we kind of reshift it. If we're obsessed about it, then there's something inside us that needs to like unwind it, I feel. And so we have to continuously accept and trust, because even with my children, I sensed and knew they were coming, but I also was hesitant too, going, well, what if they don't, right? They could change their mind anytime. I can't control their soul's mission, right? And so there is a letting go into that. And then not almost like don't over focus on it. Because to me, it feels like a detachment.
I know.
You know what I mean? Then we get like,
don't focus on it when you're trying to get pregnant. What you're focusing on.
Yeah, just focus on the love, your ability to create internally. That's the biggest piece from the heart. like creation, creativity, flow, movement. It's like you got to feel good about doing your part. I feel like it's not like, oh, I have to go get the baby now to listen to me. Like that, because then it becomes this ego thing of like, oh, it's about going outside somewhere. But it's like, no, I'm preparing. I'm just setting up this beautiful energetic space. And again, without obsessing about perfection, right? It's like, oh, I'm here. I'm synergistic with this soul. I'm excited to meet this soul. I'm beyond ready to meet this soul. And it's okay to yearn it, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna just keep showing up and listening. I just feel like listening, right? It's like that listening. I feel like that's the biggest message I keep getting right now for people in this past month is listening. Like it seems so simple, but it's just listen. But then what the listening is, there's no over analyzing in the listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just
trusting it. And right now, so we're moving into December, into January. This is big energies for people. We're being birthed to this 2022. And I always tell people, don't feel like you got to make the list out and figure everything out. Because if we really step back energetically and look at the collective, the whole world goes through a new year change. That's a lot of energy of thoughts and hearts and souls of people. So we're all like resonating in different frequencies, but we feel the energy of others. And I always feel like it's a birthing. So we're laboring in these next weeks to get to see what is on this other energetic side and space. And energy is always in creation. It changes constantly, especially after 2020. A lot of psychics, a lot of spiritualists were really kind of confused by this timeline. And so it continues to shift and change. And all we can do is really know where our own internal source connection is, and embodiment practices, embodiment self, not outside of yourself. We're in a time where it's like, do what I want you to do, and I know the best answer. No, actually, you don't. I do. And that's a relationship with the self, to listen, to go inward, to question, and then to, as Jennifer says, trusting. Trusting in all areas of life, even when it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to trust that. But it's like, okay, I'm questioning that trust. What is that? Let me sit with that. Right? It's like, again, the internal reflection. And I always like nature. I feel like nature, I look at my beautiful oak trees out the window. Nature takes us.
It
healing. Reminds us.
It's very healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it reminds you of who you are. Because nature, the tree doesn't have, it has its own energy, but it doesn't have a thought process and negative fears that like the human kind of energetic force has. The tree just grows its roots, takes in water, parts of it die, sometimes it gets infections. It's very similar to people, except it doesn't have that judgment or that negative thought process. The tree is just the tree. Nature is the nature. And so what happens is when we sit with that, and we open up the empathic part, as you ladies can, you begin to understand that you are that tree. You're very similar. And then I feel like it's a reminder of your ability to be in this creative force, really. I could say so much about nature and connection, but I'll save that for next year because I haven't fully announced it. It's there's going to be a new series all about nature, fertility, and spirit baby. And such a powerful time to utilize that, come back to the body, come back to that space of love, and continue to listen and trust and build,
Oh, I love that.
So any final words, ladies, as we're coming to the end? Somebody's listening going, oh my gosh, they're like, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jennifer. I hear you. I see you. I know you. What can we leave people with? What do you want to share?
I think the connection doesn't, maybe Jennifer said this, it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It doesn't have to be that you see things or hear things or feel things or, however it comes to you, just trust that it's coming to you.
Definitely. Yeah.
And no expectations.
Right. No expectations. And take that time to connect. Take that time. Because it will impact, it will change. And again, trust what you're feeling, seeing, hearing. Just trust it.
I love it. Amazing. I love this conversation. Thank you, ladies, Jessica, Jennifer, for being here. It's been really awesome to connect. I feel like we could probably just talk for hours about Spirit Baby. We could like dive in, like, oh, let's pick this, let's look at this. And it was really wonderful to have your energies here. And I hope to connect with more conversations in the future and just continue to expand and grow in how we bring Spirit Baby connections to people globally, and really trusting that innate process. And again, appreciate you ladies so much for hearing my call, hearing me put out the call.
And I'm glad that this is becoming more of a topic of conversation, so people are learning about it, because I know there are so many people that don't even know that their spirit babies exist, and there's a way to connect and trust your intuition. So I love, Kelly, what you're doing, and so thank you. And Jessica, let's keep in touch.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. You have each other's emails now, because we've been
Yes.
emailing. Well, good. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, I'm going to continue to push you. We're coming into the new year. Find wherever you're at. You don't have to find inspiration yet. I always feel like the new energy of the new year brings people in inspired places, but be where you need to be. Be in intuition, be in the blah if you're there. Just, remind yourself of where your heart is, where your love is, where your center is, and know that Spirit Baby does hear you. Oh my gosh, I'm like 100% sure that I can't even say 99%. Baby hears, baby knows, and just continue to be that guiding light, beautiful force of creation. And I want to thank you for joining episode 128, December 24th, 2021. Say Merry Christmas Eve. I have to say that because we don't get to say that quite often, but once a year. And this episode is real stories and experiences with Spirit Baby Spirit Baby Communication, conversations of heart. And as always, of course, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, leave reviews, and you can check out my book. It's a journal. It's called Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby journal. And of course, Spirit Baby Oracle cards, answers from Spirit Baby, and you can find more one-on-one private series, online programs, VIP retreats at spiritbabymedium.com. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.